straight, check it on, I gotta get space between us. Space between us. It's the space between us. It rips us apart and keeps us together. Check it on, I gotta get space between us. Space between us. It's the space between us. It rips us apart and keeps us together. It rips us apart. forced to bear the lion's share. People just don't have the time for music anymore, and no one seems to care. My friends have seen The Chosen One. Our quest for freedom has begun. He will be the answer to our prayers. There walks a God among us who's seen the writing on the wall. He is the revolution. He'll be the one to save us all. My brother Gabriel, waste your breath around me, round me. Spinning till the needle skips me. Don't waste your breath around me, round me. Don't waste your breath around me. Don't waste your breath around me, round me. Spinning till the needle skips me. Don't waste your breath around me, round me. 'Cause I don't care about your first world problems. Don't waste your breath around me, round me. Spinning till the needle skips me. Don't waste your breath around, don't waste your breath around. 'Cause I don't care about your first world problems. First world problems. Disillusion pirouettes inside my head, orbiting around myself. Your wrath is so contagious, tearing apart all the sides of everything that's black and gold. But diamonds don't glisten in darkness, I know. Baby, send me crazy. Be the fire in my heart that I call home. Let your dark side take me. Be the spark to light the bad blood in my bones. I'm a soldier, hypnotized under your spell. Teach me how to lose control. I heard you're an actress now. When the lights go out, you're a star. I'm in the front row. And you sold your bones for love, but you crawl right back, I'm sure. Like thieves trapped in hiding, in time you will know how to crawl right back for blood. Go on, save yourself. Tell me, how does it feel to be alone? Tell me, how does it feel? Tell me, go on, save yourself. Blind by emotions and bent on fiery eyes. You're gonna mess your head up right now till the dead finally falls. Don't tell me you wanted exactly what you've got. Gonna rip my heart in pieces, and then you take a little more. I feel no love, and you save yourself. Tell me, how does it feel to be alone? Tell me, how does it feel? Tell me, go on and save yourself. Go on and save yourself. Any day now, brother, I will come crawling. I'm a fool for thinking, sister, you would be sorry. Any day now, brother, I will come crawling. I'm a fool for thinking, sister, you would be sorry. Tell me, how does it feel to be alone? Tell me, how does it feel? Tell me, go on, save yourself. Tell me, how does it feel to be alone? Tell me, how does it feel? Tell me, go on, save yourself. Tell me, how does it feel to be alone? Tell me, how does it feel? Tell me, go on, save yourself.
The void beckons.
What's up? We're back. The GSL is here. It's been a little bit artosis.
It certainly has.
It is a very special day today. We are now going to be learning Legacy of the Void, seeing what the meta is going to look like, what the Koreans are going to be teaching us today. It'll be a very exciting series of matches.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, this is great. Guys, go out and tell your friends and family and people that you don't like even that the GSL is starting today. Because, like, okay, so StarCraft 2, we already know it's a great game. I mean, Wings of Liberty, we had a lot of fun times, a lot of epic moments. Heart of the Swarm, you know, so many great pro gamers out there and everything. And now Legacy of the Void is out. And the game is like about, I don't know, 100 times better than it ever was.
It is such a fantastic expansion.
And I'm not just saying that because, I mean, it is actually
it's
so
a huge
good.
improvement. And we have all these great new maps, obviously great new units, but all the builds are completely different now. This is a huge step with Wings and Heart of the Swarm. Those are great expansions as well, but the changes that Blizzard's made in this game are huge. You're starting with more workers.
Yeah.
The game operates at a much faster pace. It actually reminds me a little bit more of Brood War.
Absolutely.
You can cut the map in half very quickly.
It feels so much harder than Heart of the Swarm. There's just so much that you have to do at once. I mean, it's StarCraft 3, guys. Like, this is this is real. This is very different than what it was before, and I'm just like, I haven't enjoyed playing StarCraft this much since StarCraft 1, I think.
It is a serious treat. We have had some fantastic players streaming, such as Pult, but most of the good players out there have actually kept their strategies pretty well hidden. So we really don't know what to expect coming in here. But
no, and I mean, the game is so
tonight,
fresh.
The meta is going to change tremendously.
Yeah, and it's going to throughout the coming weeks, throughout the coming year, really. It's going to be awesome, and we're starting off tonight with Solar as one of our players, and so far he's the best player in Legacy of the Void. This guy won Shoutcraft, and he won DreamHack over Parting in an amazing finals, and then he qualified through this. Like, basically every good pro gamer in Korea went into this to qualify to get this far to play on TV here, because we are giving out a Code S slot to the winner of this little mini tournament this week. So anyways, Solar beat amazing players on his way here. He beat TY, who has been so far one of the best Terran players in Legacy of the Void, and he beat Trap, who's like top 16 on the Grandmaster ladder right now. Like, Trap is in really great shape, but Solar literally didn't lose a game getting here. He's won every tournament, every match so far in Legacy of the Void. So definitely one of our favorites we're starting out with. Just, it couldn't be better.
Now, we don't normally broadcast this part of the tournament. This is like pre-Code A, if you will. So this is going to be pretty fun. Obviously, we wanted to start as soon as possible. Legacy of the Void is still fresh. We have a ton of fantastic players. You wouldn't be able to distinguish the quality of players here from Code S, for instance.
You know, it looks like a Code S tournament, kind of, like a mini one.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what our schedule is going to be looking like. So we have a ton of Legacy of the Void here right in time for the holidays. So definitely tell your friends to tune in. And we're going to get to see the meta develop. I do ask myself, are we going to have the same players on top as we did in Heart of the Swarm? I know it was a huge difference. We went from Wings of Liberty, to Heart of the Swarm. It was a huge, huge change.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm thinking that it's mostly going to be the same players. I'm really interested to see how a player like, for instance, Rain does in this game. Someone that really did very well at defending and then building up the right army and then killing his opponent. Whereas we already know that someone like Parting, for instance, destroying everybody. Like, his style is amplified here in Legacy of the Void. So, gonna be cool to see who's up on top, but I think it's gonna be pretty much the same paces. The best players, man, are the best players.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, this is a completely different game, and we're also gonna be able to see which players have that that instinct when it comes to a new RTS. Yes, this is an expansion, but it's changed so much of the game.
Yeah.
Everything operates differently. There's going to be new builds we've never seen before, and that can definitely be exploited by a player who really has a good sense in an early on RTS. A lot of times we'll see players who come out on top later on when the meta's figured out, when we have the rule sets defined.
Yeah.
But this is a different beast, and with so many players grinding so hard in secret in team houses, a lot of these guys might have completely different play styles against each other they've never seen before.
Indeed, it is definitely a possibility there. Here you see what our map pool is. We got rid of some of the really crappy maps, so that's great. No arena here, tasteless. Very excited about that. But definitely, probably the best 5 maps, I guess, out of this new map pool. Central Protocol also being taken out. Thank God I had to thumbs that down after one game. An awful map, but yeah, I mean, the new maps they're kind of tricky, some of them. Like, for instance, Ruins of Ceres, such a big map. Prion Terraces, or Prion Terraces, I don't know how we're going to say that one, but like 5 gold bases, you kidding me, man? It's so crazy.
It's so strong for Zerg especially. If they start to exploit that, it can really get out of control.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that we're going to see a pretty even distribution of players. What I'm most excited about is to see if anyone can take out Solar in this first little tournament. Because again, the winner this week and the winner next week, they both go straight to Code S. So that's a pretty big deal.
We are going to start off tonight with a Zerg versus Zerg. If you're wondering why we're not in our normal studio that you'd see us in, it's because it's so we don't even normally broadcast this early on in a StarCraft tournament. So these matches will be done online.
Yes.
And it's going to be a best of 3, so it's going to be pretty unforgiving. Especially when you consider how fresh this game is. A best of 5, best of 3, totally different. If you pull a fast one and then just play, and pull a fast one in one game and then play solid in the next game, you can take it very quickly. So very unforgiving format for this phase early on in the tournament.
Yeah, but as you see, despite the fact that it's been like a very quick online tournament, look at this roster. Like, these are names that you expect to see all the time, a lot of them, right? Like Hero, Deer, Zest, Solar Life, Dark, DRG. Byul, True. These are all guys that are like super staples of Code S anyways. And then the other guys are all people that you basically know. Maybe Forte is like a little bit off, but I mean, it's a sick lineup indeed.
It's not a normal GSL day, so thanks so much for joining us. And don't forget, we're going to be on tomorrow, the day after that, and then the next day.
And then if you're a lonely nerd, we're going to be here on Christmas. So
yeah, well, you will be here. I'm actually going to be out of town on Christmas.
Okay,
but
well, I'll be here for all the lonely nerds.
That's right. Get some eggnog ready and tune in, because we will be having a Christmas broadcast down here for the GSL. So if you're somebody who is obviously interested in learning StarCraft 2, this is a great way to get a head start from everybody else who's going to be spending time with their family on the holidays. This is a great way to get a leg up. And of course, also, if you haven't played StarCraft 2 before, or if you're somebody that played early on in Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm and had a hard time, that's okay, because this is a completely different game. You can definitely start over, turn a new leaf, and learn here.
Absolutely. It plays so differently, guys. I mean, the way that I played before, like I've always been like a big turtle, very much defending.
It doesn't matter. Throw it out,
No, I was super garbage for a couple hundred games, man. Like it was really tough to switch over.
Well, I mean, with everything changing the way it is, the rate at which you expand in this is so different.
Yeah.
I think hidden bases are going to be much more viable coming into this. We're going to see a lot more of the exterior parts of the map playing a role. Most of the time in Heart of the Swarm, it would come down to like 4 bases, sometimes 5. But not always mining minerals from that. This is quite different. The bases mine out much more quickly.
Amount of games that I get 7 bases right now.
It's crazy.
Insane. It feels a lot like Brood War, where you always feel very stretched thin in Legacy, because like even if you're not necessarily at that number of bases, even if you're at 3 bases, 4 bases early game, it's going to be so hard to defend everything, because there's so many good harassment ways to do things right now. Minerals run out so fast that you have to expand. It's, well done by Blizzard. A lot of the play feels more like Brood War without losing what makes StarCraft 2 StarCraft 2.
I think what happened was early on, when StarCraft 2 came out, they wanted to make it as accessible as possible. But as the game got more and more mapped out, you could see people really had refined it to a very fine-tuned turtle style often. People staying back, closing themselves off.
You're right, it was a great game.
Yeah, I know. Artosis loves a turtle. This is the Captain Careful of esports over here. But now with Legacy of the Void, I mean, the rate at which the game moves is incredible, and it's going to be very interesting. All the matchups different. We have a ton of new maps. All builds, throw them away. Everything's new now.
Very differently as well. Yeah. It's really cool. Like you're expanding around a minute in a lot of these matchups.
Yeah.
It's going to really affect our early game commentary. Like, there's not going to be as much to fill.
Yeah, it should be picking up quite quickly.
Yeah.
So
we'll see if the same casters stay on top. Same as the players, man.
We're going to have to see, actually, what these guys are going to do. I mean, we're going to be learning with you guys for this. This is brand new. Obviously, we've had a lot of time to play Legacy of the Void, but that doesn't mean that what we've been learning is going to be the same as what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this right now, within about maybe 3 or 4 hours from now, everybody on the ladder is going to be playing completely differently.
I would say so. Well, here we go, Tasteless. It looks like we are starting our first ZVZ match here.
And to introduce our players over here in the bottom left, in the blue, he is... I don't know if we're going to get the sound effect for that to come up.
That's all right.
And Artosis, beyond that, I don't know who that is. Over here in the upper right.
They got to... Okay, hold on. Wait.
In the red, it is his opponent.
Cover your mouse, please. Okay, that's dark.
There it is. That's dark. All right, so dark at the top, and in the bottom, we have solar.
Okay, so this is cool. Obviously, something that we would want to bring up quite often is that there's a lot more VODs out there of solar playing than anyone, because he's won everything. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because even DreamHack was a little bit ago now, and everything is changing. People are getting more refined builds, more refined strategies, and stuff like that. So definitely something to take into consideration. But overall, Zerg versus Zerg, if we could talk about that for a moment.
Let's do it.
It's like there definitely can be some early game aggression, just because a lot of these maps have wide open chokes in front of the natural. But the new units, like for instance the Ravager, try to attack into a choked area against Roach Ravager with roaches. You are getting slaughtered, okay? Try to kill lurkers with roaches. Try that. I want you to go home right now and try that, Taser. It's insane. Like, roaches can't touch lurkers. And then it's like, even if you go mutas, the new Viper ability and Parasitic Bomb kills Muta's dead. It's like the new ultras are so good. Like I feel like ZVZ is so much better. It's so much more fun and it's cool right now.
Well, I think ZVZ had dulled out a little bit in most ZVZs and Heart of the Swarm, especially where it became Roach versus Roach. And, you know, that came down to the most redundant concave versus convex scenario, where, oh, now I've sent my 3 Roaches over here and he sent 8 to defend that, so then I come in here and attack. But this should really spice things up. Again, we got to see exactly how these guys play because this is brand new. This is the first major Legacy of the Void match being casted, so we're definitely going to have a good idea for ZVZ here. And we have 2 other matchups going on as well today, but anything could happen. Also, ZVZ in Legacy of the Void can make for some extremely short games.
Yeah, it certainly can. Like, you know, in a situation like this, for instance, we actually see Solar getting the Baneling Nest along with Zergling Speed, both sides, in fact. But really, Dark is the one that could be hurt more likely. He didn't expand behind, he expanded in front, which means it's much more wide open to Zergling Baneling attacks. But that doesn't mean that that's what we're going to see. It really looks like Solar wants to go into more macro play, already taking his 3rd base.
Yeah, with that 3rd base already being taken, this really highlights the rate at which Legacy of the Void is moving here. Both Baneling Nests getting very close to finishing up. We see over here in the red a few more lings being made, but as I say that, actually, we have counter more lings being made over here at the bottom as well.
All right, well, you know, both players definitely do need enough speedlings out there that they can actually get something done. And, of course, defend against their opponents as well. But we see Dark actually choosing to go ahead and to tech. He's the one that's going to go ahead, get that quicker layer, and I'm really interested to see what he wants to do with this layer tech. Is it going to be quick Roach speed? Is he going to try to go into Mutalisks?
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. I mean, staying on just 2 bases like this means he can definitely power up a little bit more here, and that's definitely something that you could use to punish a 3rd base player, especially a player taking the 3rd base over here in the front might not have the adequate defenses necessary in time to hold this off. So we already see a fork in the road here with the 2 builds that they're picking. Which one's better? Not totally clear. We do have the Roach Warren now coming up here. That will be there, and he will start making some Roaches once he deems that our other player in the red is going to start being aggressive.
It makes sense for Solar to go ahead and take that Roach Warren, you know, because he's taking the 3 bases. He's powering up for more of a macro game, whereas that Spire going to come down right now for Dark. And, of course, Mutas, they're absolutely usable. It's just like, it's a little bit different than it used to be, because let's say that we go to Hive. Suddenly, if you have a big Mutalisk clock, that's going to die instantly to Parasitic Bomb. Like, it's pretty crazy. You have to, it's like Irradiate from StarCraft 1, very much like it. So, we'll see how this goes, but I would imagine it's going to be kind of like any other ZVZ you've seen, where he transitions into Roaches.
Well, we already see some aggression coming here off of 3 base, and I think this is pretty smart. Just because you have that extra hatchery at the expansion doesn't mean you have to mine from that. That is just as well another production facility. So maybe putting pressure over here is going to be pretty effective.
Yep, we'll see what he can get done with that. And, all right, so Roach is starting to move out here. That Spire is getting towards completion. We do have some spines going down right now.
And with this pressure coming on here in the front, it's going to be a bit of a balancing act. Obviously, you want to make as many mutas as possible, right, when that Spire finishes. But if you're making mutas and in that window of time, you could hit hard on the ground.
Yeah.
You can end up losing all of your economy before the mutas can actually kick in and start helping to defend here.
Well, we do have a lot of Lings and Banes here. He's really doing quite a powerful attack right now. This is quite expensive for him to go ahead and attack like this. And if those Banelings get hit by these Banelings, that's actually a pretty big deal. Okay,
nice connection there.
Yeah, indeed. We have more Banelings actually morphing right now. He is starting to push forward very, very quickly. There are a lot of Speedlings coming up as well. 8 mutas are going to hatch, but a lot of damage is going to be dealt here by Solar.
And already drones being evacuated. Some more Banelings being made up here on the high ground, but it looks like those can be terminated before they possibly even end up hatching. Meanwhile, over here in the main, the Lings are coming up now. Muta's just barely hatching in time to try to defend, but that's not before drone casualties are going to be a reality.
All right, well, he is walking up here. Look at this. The Banelings trying to veer off towards these drones. Some nice splitting going on, but way too much damage being dealt right now by Solar. Look at this. Already 10 drones falling. Sure, the Mutas will eventually kill all these ground units, but he doesn't care. Back at home, he's droning up, making spores, making queens. Solar is in a great spot.
Yeah, obviously, Dark can't really attack here his opponent until he's cleaned up this attack back here in his main base. Now, we did see that the layer is being targeted down, but it's still in the game, which is very important. Losing that production facility would be huge. And with the distance that two players are from each other on this map, I think that Solar, should be in good shape to actually defend this when the mutas do counterattack. But let's not. Well, actually, he should definitely be in okay shape if Overlords are going to be the targets instead of the main. That's the more conservative response here after that attack here from Dark. A more aggressive one would obviously be to beeline into one of the expansions and start trying to take out the enemy's drones.
Yeah, well, you got to assume a player as good as Solar is not going to have any like open mineral lines, any open places for you to really deal damage with your mutas. So may as well clear out those Overlords. And I mean, he's going to look for some damage. He'll pick up a little bit here and there, no doubt. I mean, you can't defend absolutely everything against mutas, but the real problem here is the fact that he has half the drones of Solar.
Yeah, that's the real story. And even if he remakes those drones, if you're making drones, you're not making attacking units, so that's obviously a problem. These mutas have pretty effectively been zoned out. They really haven't done any real substantial damage. We see over here attempting to take out this extractor, which is really small potatoes.
Yeah.
Considering what would have been ideal, which would have been a lot of drone and or queen kills coming up here. So the mutas will have to back up. And we have a very functional 3-base Solar against a pretty crippled 3-base Dark. And I'm not exactly sure where Dark can take the game from here. He can definitely use the mutas to keep Solar in a defensive spot, but playing the game of catch-up here is going to be pretty difficult.
Well, I think that this is very interesting that Solar's going for his own Spire here, because if I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, I think Dark has to play a defensive game. Maybe he goes Roach Ravager and tries to just drone up and stuff like that, but a great counter to that would be just to have more mutas than your opponent, because if he keeps making mutas, of course you should be able to kill him.
Take a look here, right before this hatches, we have 1.2k gas. So that's immediately going to be about 12 to 13 Mutalisks insta-starting.
Yeah.
And I think this is actually the best possible response of all responses, because a lot of players, when they get a Mutalisk lead and then stop doing damage, they oftentimes stop making Mutalisks, right?
Yeah, totally.
And because of this phase of the game, you can instantly have over a dozen mutas at once, and that can just blindside a player like Dark here. He could be completely unprepared.
Yeah, and it's really good against anything that Dark may have been thinking about doing, like Roach Ravager or even into Lurker play. And the mutas would be great against any of that. So now he's going to have all these mutas. He's going to be able to hunt down a lot of the mutas of Dark. And now, Solar's in complete control.
Take a look at this. It looks like he wants to try to block the mutas off on the map before they come back, and that's why he's making that line over there. So the response here from Dark is to then zip back into the main and try to kill as many workers as possible. It's very important he does a lot of damage here, but at the same time, Dark has to be ready for the attack that Solar is going to hit right inside of his front door expansion here.
That's right, and right now, actually, he's even making a Nidus, so he's going to do a very powerful counterattack, but let's see if those mutas are actually doing anything over at the base of Dark. We actually aren't really watching that right now. We're just watching these mutas.
Okay, it looks like we should be getting a shot of this over here. Okay, now coming in here, and no real defense, or at least not enough to actually make this last, and that's going to be it. Taps out, GG. Solar wins. Game number 1, nicely done.
Yeah, you know, obviously he had taken too much damage. Some really good transitions there from Solar. You know, from hitting that sharp timing attack right before mutas were made. He knows his opponent's pooling money right there and hits it right there, does a lot of damage. And then to go into mutas when he realizes that, okay, Dark has to be droning right now, and then he has to go into a defensive unit comp, or I can just make a ground army he can't stop. So I really love Solar's play, and he's kind of showing why he's won everything so far.
Yeah, he's looking great. I like that attack early on. He definitely split up his units in the proper way, so he was hitting enough locations. Really, the beginning of the end was when all those drones were killed in that initial attack. There's a lot of different ways that you can play that when you're in the lead as Zerg, and I think the muta switch was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
It totally unexpected from his opponent, and once you hit him like that, there's a couple problems. A, if you send your mutas back to defend, then the person who's attacking you gets a 4th base very easily, so they're up in that way. If he tries to stay back, which he did in that game, and try to kill off drones, then your main is even weaker, so you're going to suffer casualties there no matter what. So really nice play, definitely closing this out. I don't know if this is going to be a 2-0, not sure, but it certainly could be the case, seeing how one-sided that game was.
Well, our next map is actually going to be Prion Terraces, and this is the map that has a bajillion gold bases.
Yep. We don't know if that's going to play as
we'll...
much of a role in ZVZ. ZVZ is a little bit more unforgiving early on.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of feel like we might see some Ling Bane action early on, like maybe a little bit more aggression, because if one of these guys tries to go for the gold and then takes it, like the gold is very wide open. So if you go Ling Bane against that, you're going to have a very easy time attacking in, where it's going to be hard to defend. So I just wonder, because if you get that like kind of edge aggressively, if you have that map control with Ling Bane, you're going to be able to take gold bases yourself. So,
and once you have that gold base up, if you have that up for a little bit, the lead is almost insurmountable. There's
crazy.
not a lot you can do, especially in a mirror matchup. If you just have a way superior income with minerals, the choices are there. You're allowed to make some mistakes, but it's definitely something that you have to stop your opponent from doing early on, or things will get out of hand.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just wait and see what they want to do. I mean, this is all just kind of guesses right now. We don't know exactly how these guys will play. We don't know exactly what the top Korean meta is right at this moment.
We're still learning. I guess when this week is done, we'll have
much better idea.
Well, I would still say it's a pretty vague idea of how it's operating, but it's still much better than what we have right now.
This is still a very small sample of games. Like there's a lot of things that could be going on right now in Legacy of the Void. There's a lot of stuff that you can see online. So anyways, here we go. Looks like we are going to get into this second game.
And over here in the top left, I believe it will be Solar once again here in the blue.
Yeah, that would be pretty cruel if they switched the colors up.
That would be pretty cruel. And his opponent down here in the bottom right. Or I guess we'll get you a shot of that in a second. But yeah, it is Solar here in the upper left.
It makes sense, as Solar, on Samsung, blue is a good color for him, whereas our SK player in the red makes sense. But looks like we have a pretty darn early pool here, but we don't have any gas with that. So this isn't going to be like a very quick Baneling. This isn't going to be a very quick Speedling. This is just a very quick spawning pool to get some Zerglings out.
Yeah, and this can be used for aggression, or this can be used simply to play defensive. We're going to have to see how many lings he does opt to hatch coming up here.
Yeah, I think he is going to have to attack with such a very quick spawning pool. So let's see, like, we do have a hatchery first into a gas and pool here from Solar, so Dark has found the build he wants to play against, basically. I definitely know that he can go over there and most likely cancel this hatchery. Or
this is a great way to open up, because if he were to be rushed, he'd be in okay shape, but if Solar's getting too greedy, which he might very well be doing in this game, you could punish accordingly.
Yeah, and if he had done something like taking a gold base, 100% that would be going down, because it's just so far away. But as of right now, look, the spawning pool is not even done yet, and these Zerglings are over halfway across the map.
Yeah, they're coming up here right now, and remember, if you do end up denying a hatchery, that cuts your production in half. So that is disastrous. It's really tough, especially when you have that production lead. So hard to actually claim any ground on the low ground. They can pretty much lock you out. And we see targeting down on the hatchery here. Meanwhile, Solar has 6 Zerglings of his own being made, but I think it's not going to get there in time to actually defend this to save this hatchery.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. He does have some hatching out there as well, so he's going to come down and maybe start some fancy micro, but it looks like that hatchery very likely going to fall.
Yep, Dark just rotating over here to the left side and then going to get out without losing a single Zergling. Nicely done. And we now have Solar just on 1 hatch, whereas Dark's hatchery is moments away from completion.
Now, Dark has actually opted to go for Zergling speed here, but Zergling speed is going to take quite a while, whereas Solar already has a Baneling nest.
It looks like they'll be finishing up at about the same time for the ling speed, but having the Baneling's nest, there's a possibility of Solar having a successful counterattack here, depending on how quickly Dark gets his defenses up. But it looks like he already has 1 spine crawler being made right now.
Oh, and with 2 queens already at the ramp, this many Zerglings and a spine on the way, I mean, Solar is going to be very hard pressed to actually make this do anything.
Also, this counterattack is a little bit half-hearted. We see he's already making drones behind this. So
this is not a passionate counterattack.
No, no, indeed. This is definitely a I guess I might as well give it a shot counterattack.
This is a go through the motions counterattack right here, Tasteless.
So, yeah. So, in fact, I don't even know if he will, in fact, commit to the counterattack. You see he's under 1 Overlord just outside that expansion.
Yeah.
With the spine crawler positioned up here in the front, if he has that hotkey, he can just target down the Banelings as they're coming up. And it's pretty easy to hold. It's pretty elementary.
Well, right now, we actually have this hatchery finishing up pretty quickly for Solar. So he's not as far behind as you would really think. Dark has a couple more drones, and he has better saturation because he is mining from that natural.
No, that is very true. He definitely,
yeah.
He's handling this quite well considering the bad hand that was dealt to him early on.
Certainly the case. Like, Dark did gain an advantage there, but Solar hasn't, like, overextended himself. He hasn't wasted any units on a counterattack. He kind of, like, faked it, which forced the spine, forced some more units out of Dark. So those are all really good things for him, really.
Yeah, certainly so. It looks like he's going to come up here, try to target down some of these banelings with an advance here from Dark, trying to push forward on the map and gain some territory. We do have the third bases being taken for both players right now. Solar in, actually, I would say, considering it's the gold base, a pretty substantial lead here.
Well, it's a pretty good job. Let's see here. We have a lot of lings popping up right now for Dark, so it looks like he wants to get on the aggressive, which is the right choice. Of course, he has overlords over here. He sees that gold base.
Yep.
And you know, this could be a very down and dirty fight coming up.
We do have the Roach Warren starting up for both players, about synced up right now. Additional gases being acquired at the expansion, but right now it's been a pretty low-tier tech play for the time being. We have some more banelings coming up here, just seeing if they can't intercept any Zerglings on the way, but there's not. Oh, hold up.
Oh, and in fact, he's going to be able to take out most of these banelings here. A couple more coming out for Solar. He really needs to keep this hatchery alive. That's so important right now.
What he wants to do is have as little lings as possible die to these banelings, so he's trying to just chuck out a few here and there. Can this baneling come up and intercept these lings? More lings coming around now. Banelings here for the blue. Solar going to try to come up here and once again drive Dark out.
Ooh, very nice. He just whittled away health on those banelings, then killed 2 with 1. So great moves right there by Dark. Continues to try to put on this pressure, but it looks like Solar will go ahead, save his gold base, and already transfers down a lot of drones.
Yeah, and he does that the moment that he knows that that's safe. We do have a drone transfer as well down here at the bottom. You want to immediately get those drones on the gold base so you can get the increase in the minerals that are coming in. And this game may begin to even out here. They are both now able to hold and cement their position on the map. So it's 3 base versus 3 base, but with high economy really kicking in, it's going to ramp up even more here as time passes.
Yeah, this is getting into that area where we're just going to see a hell of a lot of roaches pumping out, especially with those gold bases, just the sick mineral income. So we'll see if anyone can actually get an attack off here. I mean, this is a lot of ground to actually cover, but these bases are actually very far away. The map is quite long despite being a 2-player map. So I don't know how you're going to actually go kill your opponent, but this is what I love to see out of Dark. These Ravagers popping out. This is going to allow him to bully away some Overlords, and of course, Ravagers are really nice against clumped up roaches.
Yeah, absolutely, and that really changes the whole Roach v. Roach dynamic here in ZVZ. So we have more and more roaches being cranked out here. 22 lings and 5 roaches, so we might see an attack coming up here pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Solar actually just sniffed that out. He cancels his lair and just starts making more units. So it looks like he's realized that he needs a lot of units very quickly here. To cancel a lair, like, that doesn't give you that much money, so he's in danger mode.
Doesn't give you a lot of options later on in the game. I mean, if you're not going to tech to tier 2 here, then you better be making it work with whatever you have in tier 1.
And it's not that this is super uncommon either. Like, he's over-droned a little bit, so it makes sense. Like, you get layer a lot later in Legacy of the Void than you did in Heart of the Swarm, really, in ZVZ. So, or generally, that's what I've seen so far. But let's see if Dark can actually get something done here. A lot of Ravagers on both sides. And don't forget, if Dark gets nothing done here, there's more drones out for Solar at the moment. We have some Corrosive Byles coming down on both sides.
More banelings coming up here. Does look like Dark's going to be in pretty good shape attacking into this expansion. Spreading out right now is Solar. The Roaches closing in on the upper right. The Ravagers still continuing to pin very well here at the bottom of the ramp.
And it looks like right now Solar doing a great job. Nice splits here right now, dodging all these Corrosive Byles. Not that they're super hard to dodge, but right now we do have Dark coming up and really forcing his way